Hello there, this is a video commentary on the visualization of hitboxes in Overwatch. These are the animations I made. God, our this is fake. I feel like I need to make a video in order to explain some of my points more clearly, so that it's easier to understand in some aspect. So let's hop in game and look at how the screenshots are made. So this is a script, basically. Pressing the interrupt button will have a scan, it's kind of laggy, scan from the bottom to the top of the cross-section, the pseudo cross-section of the hitbox. So it is done by essentially there's two rays firing from the left and also firing from the right, from bottom to top, and it fires like sequentially, and it will mark the position if it actually hits a player, and it will give us this position of the green spheres. And you see that the first point what I say is it is adjusted by the normal vector at hit position. So what I mean is, let's go to paint. Imagine this is the Imagine this is the hitbox, which is in the shape of a capsule. Doesn't look like a capsule, but anyway. And we have a ray firing from the right, the left, I mean. And then it will hit the position for the first function. Ray cast hit position. It will hit this blue spot. But if we were to only place a sphere at this position directly, then this part of the sphere is actually not in hitbox. But what I want is I want like spheres to be like inside of the hitbox. So what I do is I also get the normal vector at this position, and then I multiply this normal vector by the radius of the sphere I use. In this case, we have 0.02, which is what I choose, and then we will have a normal vector which is just this in length, and then we just need to subtract the position by this modified vector, and we get a new position right here, which we can then put a sphere in, and theoretically this should be touching the hitbox at one point, which is what we want. So back in game, sometimes though this method doesn't seem to be that accurate. You can see I'm shooting Bastion's head hitbox now. It's kind of accurate. Let's try to shoot his legs in a better slice. Like for example right here, maybe still have. In some case I found, like right here, I'm shooting somewhere. Still, I mean this next sample, I mean I just shoot this spheres like very edgy and it seems to be accurate, but in some sense, in some cases I found that it's actually not accurate enough. I mean it's still a hit if I shoot for example here, right? I think this might be due to the decimal precision of the workshop. Currently everything is rounded to 0.00 two decimal places, I mean, so it has an error of plus or minus 0.005, 0.005, two zeros. Which you can see here, for example, for this example, we have the left hit race. It gets modified by just a tiny bit because the radius is so small. But I can't use a large sphere radius because some of the hitbox are actually quite thin. Most heroes' arms actually have a very thin but accurate hitbox. So I can't use a huge sphere radius because that would like kind of overestimated the actual size of the hitbox. That's why I landed on 0.02. For 0.01, I can still do it, but pretty much the adjustment is gonna be insignificant because maximum adjustment is 0.01. Currently, the maximum adjustment is like 0.02, and it's actually visible on the animation because it's big enough. And And also here, actually 2 dummy bots. You can't see one of them because one of them is invisible. We reset, change hero, and you can see first they're both stunned, and then one of them will get frozen. Boom. So the frozen one is actually the one which is where the race hit it. I mean, I can shoot this guy. I can shoot this guy. This is in place because of a few reasons. Because for some hero, let's find Junkrat's movement in his idle animation is so huge that it will actually change the position of the hit of the rays that it hits. So therefore, I need a frozen model actually. But if I show the frozen model only, it will produce something like this. Which, I mean, the glowiness of the frozen effect kinda overlays and, you know, disturbs you from actually seeing the actual spheres. So I had to modify from this version into 2 dummy bots, pretty much. The bad thing about this one is the model that you will see, that you'll be seeing, kind of moves a lot, really a lot. For example, let's see if we can find one which is Junkrat's example. Junkrat front. Here we go. You can see it's like, come on, please load. You can see he moves a lot. He moves so much. This is one of the bad things about, you know, using 2 models when it's not frozen. But the good thing about that is, you know, the sphere positions are always accurate. It's independent of the model you see. So that's why I put 3 slices in this, in this view. One of them on the right is the complete view without the player model. This one is with the player model, and on the left is the right image adding in the middle image, so that if the spheres are blocked by the player models, it's still visible slightly right there. Okay. So then, also there's a problem if we're gonna use this. A problem arising from if I'm only firing rays from the sides and parallel to the horizon, is that we need to get to some heroes like Reaper. Some hitboxes, you know, hitboxes are not existing in the middle, right there, and also not between his arms, apparently. But if you see, if you do a scan like so, let's see, not close enough. Oops, too much. You can see only his outer rim of the hitbox are marked with the spheres, like so. Because there's only 2 rays, right? I can't mark the insides of the hitbox. So it's also a reason why I'm showing you only the side view for this animation. Because if I were to show you the front view, then it will be inaccurate. I mean, some parts of the model will be missing, and it will be misleading to everyone, basically. So, which is why I'm actually planning on making another set, which is firing the rays in this direction instead of the side directions, so that we can have a complete scan from the front and from the back. Also, apart from that, what I said on the post is that actually I want to do Bob, because Bob is kind of significant enough for its play model to be making sense. But for some reason in Workshop, I can't seem to like be able to frozen Bob or stun Bob. I can't do that. I just don't know why I can't do that. So, which makes Bob unable to visualize for now. Rip Tire and Sentries, those I think are pretty insignificant. The tires essentially, basically, I think something like Wrecking Ball's case, where his hitbox is just basically a sphere, a squished sphere, something like that. So I don't do Riptire. Sentry is a static object, you just can't hit it easily. Sentries, symmetric turrets, again, static objects, you don't, it's trivial to do so. So the only thing that I really want to do is Bob, but I still haven't been able to find a reliable way to lock Bob's animation so that it does not go wild. Because Bob's animation is kind of like, it's moving its body in another direction, trying to aim for enemies, right? So currently I can't do that. So I think it's pretty much summing up everything that I want to say, and I hope you enjoy the animations, the GIFs, and we'll see you next time.